everyone. Welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies. I was starting down here working a little bit ago, and I thought, you know what? Today'd be a good day to just show everybody the tools that I use every day. I've been asked this a few times. What do I use, and what brand do I use, and things like that. I'm not really a brand type guy, but there are a few things that I do use brands for. So let's take a look down here. Let me move all this stuff out of the way, and we'll go from like what I use all the time to just some stuff that I think that makes life a heck of a lot easier. So here, let me get rid of myself. You don't need to watch me. Number one on my list is a good magnifying visor. This one had a light. I took two AA batteries and had a little LED in the front. That was heavy. With the two lenses on here, it's heavy enough. All these will be in the description down below here, so you can look them up. They go right on. Most of the stuff is straight from Amazon, but this I love. It's got both visors, so I can put my normal view on here. I can flip this one up, and I can see even better. Even, and I can leave my glasses on, and they balance out really nice. So this is my favorite. I don't do anything without this on my head. It's just, I got it hanging up in a certain spot, and that's where it always goes. The next thing is a cheap pair of clippers. These just, I use them to cut the sprue with. I use them to cut these with. My Q-tips, these are the pointy ones. I have both kinds. But just a cheap pair. I think these were like $2.50 at Hobby Lobby. I don't even have a link for these. These things gotta be 15 years old. And I abuse them. I cut my solder with them. I cut electric wire with them. I do all, just all that. But then, and I just got this, and this is kind of what made me think, hey, I should show people what I'm using, is a good set. And it doesn't need to be boxed like this, but this is the set. This is the second one of these I got. It's from Rudel, I think it is, Rutol. Look at how they package these things. But I had these before, and I just plain Jane dolled them out. These I use, look at how nice these are. And these things I use for strictly sprue, nothing else. And I'll tell you what, watch this. I'll bring it up here. We'll get into focus, and I'm going to show you how close you can go with that. I mean, you can get right down on the part and literally shave off a clean piece and go to town with it. So now these are my brand new ones, and I actually, you can see the difference. These things have been, they're about, I don't know, maybe 2 years old, maybe a year, but these I use all the time for taking things, taking the part off the sprue, because they can come right up to it and snip it off. So what I'll do, like when I take this off, is I'll use these. Let me get all this garbage out of the way. I bet you before this is over, we're going to have a collection of crap all around me here. But I'll take these and just snip them way back out of the way to free that up. And then I'll take these, and I can come right up on it and give a nice clean cut, and that's smooth as glass. So I don't have to worry about those dimples that the cutters make when they're right on it. I mean, it doesn't even leave it to where your nail will drag on it. So these are worth, I think they're like $16, but they're worth it. And I even got in a habit of putting them back in the little sheath when I'm done. So when I'm cutting stuff off, I cut a bunch off all at once. But these always get put back in the same spot, and these get put over top of them so that when I go to grab them, I'm not grabbing the good ones every time. and go into town. So now I got a real good pair. I got these, which I'll still use these, but I'll use them on the glass that I never use them on glass. I always use the blue ones, but I think these will do a little bit better job. They're just not as long as the blue ones. And they're just getting to the point to where they don't shave as neat as the other ones did. And for 16 bucks, I think it's worth every penny. The case is nice because I can take this out, and now I'll just, strip this down. And now I got a little parts box. So I even use that. Just like I need more stuff laying around. It even came packaged in the box with the case and the sheath. So they don't mess around with these. And now I got to find another spot for those too. The next thing is a good, comfortable x-acto, or I use x-acto blades, but a good, comfortable blade holder. This thing was my old boss's, and I bought his toolbox, and this was in it. And I'm telling you, it is just really comfortable. I've used it for years. I can't find one anymore because I'd love to have another one. But as long as you have one that's comfortable in your hand, because I do have a bunch of, I have two of these always set up too. This one's for my, when I put putty on it and stuff from little spots, I'll use an old blade. But for me and my big monkey hands, this isn't as comfortable as this. And I can get in there and do some real fine work with this thing. Whereas this one, it's just always, I don't know, it just doesn't fit right. So that, and with that, always have a crap ton of blades. I get these things on Amazon. It's like $9 for 2 packs of these things, and they last a long time. I like them because you can put the old blade in. So what I'll do is I'll take this blade off and I'll put it on one of the other x-acto blades. And I usually change these when I'm doing bare metal foil because they hold up pretty well for me. But there's that. And I keep pulling stuff out that I use all the time. The other thing I use a lot is a little saw blade. And it came with this holder, and the holder's okay. And it wouldn't be bad even to have this one with an x-acto blade in it either. It's not bad. It's Olfa, O-L-F-A, made in Japan. The blade is nice. It's a draw style blade. It's made their triangles so you can go both ways with it when you're cutting. And it's not real thin, but for cutting a panel line off or something like that, or just say I wanted to open the ashtray, I'll use something like this. Just cut up the other way, and then use the panel liner or the panel cutter, which I'm going to pull out right now, to go the rest of the way. This is from Trumpeter. I got this on Amazon years and years and years ago, but it's still sharp enough to do the job. So I don't need to replace it. And this is non-replaceable blade. When you get it, you get the whole thing. But it's comfortable in your hand. And with this, here. You just take it and draw it towards you. And you just keep going in the same line. Once you get it established, you start pushing a little bit harder. And that's how I cut my trunks open, deepen door panels and things like that are just shallow. You know what I mean? Or cleaning up after something where I'll drill a hole and then in the middle of a line, and then it leaves that little burr. And I'll take this and drag that burr out. And you can turn it on a little bit of an angle and skew it a little bit and drag it, and it'll widen it up a little bit. So these three are a must-have in my book. Files. I got a small set of files. I think it came 6 in a box. I use 4 of them. And I have the round one, the flat blade, one that's tapered, and one that's a triangle. And what I did is, because I have them sitting up this way where you can't really see the blades, is I just painted the handles different colors. So my blue one's the round, my purple, I have a green one and a yellow one. So they're nice. They're not real aggressive, so that I can use these on edge lines and things like that. I use these almost as much as I use my sanding sticks, which I'll grab next. And I got a boatload of these things. It came in different grit. Well, I just grabbed 2 of them. I got a 5,000, a 2,000, and it goes all the way to like 80. So, and you get a bunch of these in the thing, and it's down in the description too. But I use them for everything, for sanding my tires to sharpening my pencil. I use them for everything. Not as much as the files do, because the files, I like using them like on the edge line here. What I'll do is I'll scrape this down with the X-acto blade, just drawing it across to get rid of that mold line. And then I'll take my flat one, my purple one, and I'll just kind of round it off. And you can actually see that. Oh, puppies are happy today. You can actually see that line roll off. So another must-have. I don't have a whole lot of sanding sheets. What I do have are 1,000, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, 5,000, and 7,000 grit. And I use these like after I'm done painting, just to smooth things out. Or like this is my 2,000, and I use this before I paint, and I'll just sand everything nice and smooth, get that gloss off the body, and that way the paint adheres better. And I use Tamiya's acrylics almost all the time. And I don't even prime anymore, because these acrylics grab really well. I'll put a light coat down, and then I'll come down with progressively heavier coats. But I just quit priming, because every time I would try to prime something, it would go horribly wrong. So now we're into the painting part. I do recommend getting and learning an airbrush. Harbor Freight has a nice one. Neo Echo has a nice one. These are the nicest I've ever used, and I've used some really good airbrushes. But these are from Gallery. This is the 0.3 millimeter. It's a Mobius, and it comes. The one I got it comes in a kit with a 0.3 and a 0.2, and this is kind of like a general purpose, where the 0.2 is real fine detail, and I mean real fine detail. So I just got done the other day painting the whole body with this one, just with the X8, and you can see I did no polishing, no sanding, and no anything afterwards, and that's pretty smooth. And I stopped here because I'm going to end up using this Life Tone clear coat, and that'll make it nice and shiny for me. But you can see it's nice and smooth. The airbrush atomizes fantastic, so I don't have any problems with spits or spews or anything like that. It just works. So, and the stand, it came with one stand, and then I bought another one because I used the two. No, I'm sorry. It does come with the two stands, and I bought a third one for my Swallowtail, which is it's a trigger-based airbrush. I got it across the shop, which is really, really nice, and it's got a huge needle on there, so you can put down a ton of paint. But for just starting out, get yourself a good compressor and a decent airbrush, because if you just go with a cheap airbrush, you're not going to be happy, and you're going to fight it. The old Harbor Freight one, the newer one I heard is okay. The old one was just a beast. It was hard to clean. It was hard to just make it spray well. This is simple to clean. I can paint for hours and then spend maybe 15 minutes at the end and tear it all the way down, clean it, put it all back together again, and it's on a shelf and I'm doing something else. So I highly recommend the gallery Mobius set for starting out. It's a little bit more expensive than you're going to want to start out with, but like I said, you're getting into something really nice. And then I also, talking about the spray, and this is looking brown for some reason on the camera, but talking about spraying, these are what I use to mix my paint in. These are 2-ounce cups. They come, I think, 200 to a box. On Amazon, they came right to the door. If I was doing it again, I would get the 1 ounce instead of the 2. This holds a ton of paint, and I don't ever need a ton of paint when I'm airbrushing. So I recommend getting the 1 ounce, but I do recommend getting these. And I also recommend, while we're talking about paint, is getting a paint stir. This is a Badger. There's a bunch of them out there. They're pretty much all the same. It's just got a spinning tip. You turn on the switch. This is just a slider switch. It takes 2 AA batteries and put it right down in the jar. Mix it up real good. Pull it out. Put it in water. Fire it up. Turn it off. Wipe it with a paper towel. And you're on to your next one. But for 20 bucks, it's a whole lot better than sitting there trying to shake flat aluminum and getting all the stuff and crud and stuff off the bottom that really makes the metallic. It just, you're never going to get it right. And I'm done doing the handshake. Now they do have paint shakers, but they're kind of costly. I don't have room for that, where this just sits like that in the corner, and it's always in the same spot, and that's where I grab it. So there's that. And like I said, I use the Tamiya paints pretty much. If I'm not using Tamiya paints, I'm using acrylic, the cheapos that I get from the store. I don't really airbrush these. These are more for hand painting. But I do use them quite a bit for detail work, for shading work and things like that. So don't be shy about getting these. They do work great, but I use them over top of paint because it'll scrape off pretty easy. So we're going to move pretty quick here. A good set of tweezers is a need. These things, I probably got at the dollar store 15 years ago. They're a little bit pointy, but not super needle point, and they're small, so they're easy to hold in the hand. And I have a couple of different kind. This one's super pointy, nice and long, but you know what, it just isn't as comfortable for me. For you might like it, but for me it's just not as comfortable. So these usually end up pulling stuff out of the quick shine jar. But with these, get yourself a couple of the clamp type that lock down. I use these for when I'm airbrushing something that really needs to be grabbed hard. And when I'm not using those, I have a whole bunch of these alligator clips, and I just bought a box of them because I think I only had like 12. There's 18, 20 in here. And this comes, and they're silver and black. I don't know, who care. But the black ones all have these rubber tips on them. And I guarantee you I'm going to be doing that as soon as I start using them and ganking the rubber tips off them. Because I've found that the rubber tips don't hold on the real small stuff that I use these for. It's just, I don't know, it's just not convenient. Where with the tooth grips, I can grab onto that thing, and I know it's not going anywhere. So I can sit there and I can use the airbrush, I can hand paint, I can do whatever I want. And these work good. Like I said, I just didn't have enough of them. That's why I bought another 20. So I think I got like 30 of them now, and that'll be good enough. I'm always looking for like 1 or 2 more. so the other day when I was building the kit, I was like, you know what, the heck with that. I'm ordering some more. And I'll show you my stand here that I got. This is where the 10 came from, or 15 or whatever, is with this stand. And I love this stand. It's really nice. You can stack things up in here all over the place. 9 ways to Sunday, you can put things in here. And it holds them nice. You can see I'm using it right now. These all parts are already started to be painted. So this will be in the description also. Another set of alligator clips is my helping hands. I don't use these as much as I use the alligator clips by far, but these are nice when I want to hold something like my electrical, where I got 2 wires and I want to bring them together and hold them so I can solder and hold the solder in there. It's pretty much what I use these for, unless I'm doing something really big that I want to hold that's a long plate, and then I could take it and put it in the spray booth. But they're nice to have. I wouldn't go right out and buy these though. Instead, I would spend the money on something like this. My little paintbrush holder. This thing was only like 15 bucks, and it came with 2 of these. So I use one for my paintbrushes. I use the other for my X-acto blades and my pens and pencils and files and things like that. And I love this thing. It's one of the nicest additions I got to my shop. It's simple to put together. It's just rubber bands holding it together. When the rubber bands break, I'll just super glue it. Who cares? But I love this thing. The brushes, I'm not going to tell you what brushes to get. I use my flat brush a lot. I have a big flat brush that's kind of stiff. I have one that's very stiff. This is one I use for dry brushing. I have a real soft brush that I use pretty much just for dusting things off. And a bunch of pointy brushes all the way down to a 4/0. But choose your brushes for what you need, not for what I'm telling you to get, because I'm not going to tell you what to get, because everybody likes to do things different. I have coffee cups over here. Just coffee cups here and there that hold some magic markers and toothbrushes and dental tools and things like that. And they work out good. I also have this, and I love this. This is 2 different things. This one's set up to hold Q-tips, and it's okay. I'm taking the lid off more times than not to get the Q-tip out, because they really don't come out. My stinking hands are too big. But this thing holds these toothpicks, and they're just drops them out one at a time. And it's awesome. So what I did is I took my foamy tape, and I taped it to the lid of my toothpick holder. So I can still get in here and drop the toothpicks in, and they're stacked up so it doesn't take a whole lot of desk room. It's just convenient that way. So there's that. I finally broke down, I think it was last year, and bought a holder for my bodies. For, I'd say 45 years now, I've been using bent coat hangers to do. I don't even have one in here closer. I'd grab it to show you. But I just bent coat hangers to where I could hold them and spray the bodies. And then finally I broke down and I got one of these. And to be honest with you, I don't use the turntable. I'll pop that thing off and put it in the back of the spray booth, and I'll hold this thing by hand. And right now it's loose because I've been holding this, and I didn't want to leave it under tension and spread the body out. So I got it just barely holding it. But that is really nice, and that came with something that I didn't think I was going to use a lot, but I really do. And that's this little turntable. And it's got room for the alligator clips. I use my skewers. It came with 4 of these little spring jobbies that I use quite a bit. I used them on my most of the time I'm using it for this when I paint the my tubs, because it just keeps your hands out of the way. It doesn't take up a whole lot of room, and it holds really well while I'm spraying. But this and the other was about 20 bucks. So not bad. Like I said, the most expensive thing I have down here is my air compressor and airbrushes. But I use them all the time. Not saying you have to get an airbrush and the compressor and all that stuff. But man, I'll tell you what, that changed a whole lot for me. One of the most versatile things that I've been using to detail my kits is solder. I have 0.3 millimeter solder and I have 0.8 millimeter solder. And the 0.3 millimeter I use for, my spark plug wires, my brake lines, my fuel lines, windshield washer hoses, battery cables, all kinds of stuff. The more you use it, the more you're like, geez, I even use this for wheel weights. And then the 0.8 millimeter, I've been using for heater hoses, PCV lines, the brake booster line. I think I said radiator hoses, but stuff like that, that's just the next size up. And it might not be 100% to scale, but you know what? When it's in there and it's all set up right and looks right, it's close enough. I'm not going to come in there with micrometers and check everything. I don't build that way. I build for fun. Literally, I even have it on my coffee cup, build for fun. So I don't get into the is that perfect? I get into it, does it look nice? So there's that. I'm going to try putting this stuff back. Again, that goes with the solder is a nice set of pin vices. I have another one that goes bigger than this, but I use these all the time. And I use every size too in here. So this yellow one works perfect for my 0.3 millimeter. The other yellow, and that's convenient, it just worked out that way, is perfect for my 0.8 millimeter. And then I have a Dremel rasp that I use mostly for opening up the holes that I drill in the back of the exhaust pipes. So I'll drill the hole and then I'll come in with this and by hand I'll turn it and I'll thin that wall out until it's as thin as I'm comfortable enough with making it. But this comes with I think 5 cases of these. And the ones I use the most, of course, I have a whole bunch of them in there with broken tips that I'll throw the tip away and I'll keep going. And when I get to the last tip, I'll have to order another set because I haven't found where you can just order the one size yet. So, and that's okay. It's not super expensive anyhow. I think these were $6 for a 5-pack or maybe $10 for a 5-pack. I don't remember now, but it wasn't crazy enough to where I was like, nah, I'm not going to get that. And Harbor Freight has them too. So if you want to just stop in there and grab them. For weathering, I have the Tamiya's Weathermaster C and D. This, I use the oil stain a lot. I use the burnt blue on chrome headers and things like that. But mostly I'll use the oil stain. And then I'll use my rust and my gunmetal and silver in this one. This one, if you're going to get one, get the C. This I use all the time. These are just nice to have. So there's that. Clamps. I use these quite a bit. And I'll show you what I use them for more than anything. Is I use my clothespins and foamy tape. This is just 3M foamy tape. I got this at Lowe's. It was like 20 bucks. This is going to last me 2 years. And it used to be like $6. But I'll foamy tape this to it so it holds somewhere where it doesn't need to be painted. And I'll take this and I'll grab up high on an angle this way. Just grab it, and now I got to stand for it. So I can paint it, grab it, set it down, grab something else, and paint it. So these are really nice. My brother Mike sent me these, so I don't even have a link for them. But they work perfect, and they're easy to use. don't take up a whole lot of space, which is great because I don't have a whole lot of space. But that and the clothespins, I have 50 of these things laying around because eventually you're going to be pitching them, cutting them, and doing stuff, and they're just nice to have. I found the dollar store cheapos that are smaller than the ones that you get anywhere else are easier to squeeze, and I don't know, I just like them better, I guess. But I use them for, hooking that foamy tape up to all the time. Now I got a handle when I go into the spray booth that I can spray with, and it just works out great. Hand painting, I can hold it, move it around, and do my painting with it. So they're nice to have. And I know I'm shotgunning a bunch of crap at you, but like I said, this is just a, hey, if you want to watch, check it out, see what I use. My glues, I use the Bob Smith. This is straight off of Amazon. It's getting a little expensive anymore, but you can get tips. I recommend getting the tips. I think you get 9 of them, because this tip, eventually what will happen is your lid doesn't sit on there right, and it'll clog up that tip. And as soon as that starts happening, just unscrew the tip. You got to keep the cap. Unscrew the tip, pitch it, cut the top off another one, and you're good to go. And this is going to last a long time. I've had this probably a year and a half. I've gone through 2 tips so far. This is the 3rd one. So it goes forever. Elmer's glue, I use just for, I don't know, I used it the other day to Mod Podge, or to decoupage my seats, where I decoupaged on a piece of paper towel to it. But I just have it here. I don't know where it came from. I just grabbed it from somewhere. And I use it for sticking things together that I want to take back apart. Like if I wanted to put the exhaust manifold on my engine just to figure out where my spark plugs are supposed to go, I can glue it on with this, come back the next day. It's on there just enough to where I can mark things out, give it a pop, pull the glue off, and I can go on from there. Just convenient. The must-have is a nice thin glue. This one I'm going to have to order. But this is the Tamiya's Extra Thin. Man, as long as you don't have, if you can do a sprue to sprue, or, the white to white, it will melt those two together to where they're one piece when you're done. If I got paint to where I'm going to glue things that are painted together, put the starter on or things like that, I'll go with the super glue. But if I can put it together before it's painted, or if I can scrape the paint off before I glue it together, man, I'm using this. And it's once it's on there, it's done. It kind of dries pretty quick to where it holds tight, and then I let it sit for a few hours, and then you can work it with a knife or the file or whatever just to clean things up. But it's definite you need to want to have this. My panel liner, I have 3 different colors. This is the black panel liner. I use this for almost everything. I mean, it's just, everybody jokes because when I'm saying, okay, we're going to use the panel, I mean, I use it, my rims. I used it in here. I panel line my engines to show the detail. I panel line just about everything but the panel lines with it. I really do. It's something that you just need to have in the shop just to show off the highlights of things. I don't use it as much to get things dirty as I use it to show off highlights. It doesn't really work great on flat. It will spread out like crazy. Or if the surface is a little bit textured, it's going to spread out and make it look like an oil stain. But if that's what you're going for, that works great. But what it does best is grills. That's just one coat of panel liner on my grill here to darken that up and make it look like it's hollow in there. It's perfect for that. You just take it and you put it in there. You can watch it, the capillary action go across. Just works great for backup lights. where they're the chrome. I'll take flat white. I'll paint that with flat white, and then I'll come back in. For some reason, that doesn't want to focus on the chrome, but I'll come back in and I'll put just a drop of panel liner on there. If it's too much, hit it with a Q-tip and draw some of that out. Let it dry overnight. Come back and hit it with some quick shine to put a clear coat over top of it, and it looks, literally, I'm looking at this and it looks just like those plastic white lenses for backup lights. And I mentioned quick shine. This is the only bottle I could find, and I think this is going to last me 10 years. It's going to dry out before I use it all up. It's 64 ounces. But you can get this at the dollar store and Walmart, all over the place. And I use this to gloss coat or semi-gloss coat all kinds of stuff. It's great for light lenses, putting your little headlights in. I'll glue it in. There's a video I did showing how I do that too. I did it a long time ago. I could probably do a new one where I glue my windshields on and things like that too. But that quick shine, I'm grabbing that all over the place. For things like my leather seats. This is flat black. The flat that's in that carpet is what I painted this. And then I put a coat of quick shine on it, just brushed it with that flat brush, let it dry overnight, and boom. You got that not semi-gloss, but almost semi-gloss leather look. And it works so well for things like that. Door panels. Like I said, I flat painted this and then came back. I flat painted the whole car, pretty much except for the body. And then came back and used the quick shine on it to bring up the semi-gloss where I wanted semi-gloss, especially for the chassis or the body tubs. Semi-gloss the seat. I left the windowsill flat. I left the carpet flat. I did the rails, and I did the floor mat with the quick shine, and it just saves a bunch of work. It's easy to put on, and it's quick. Anywhere where like this you can see it ran over a little bit, I'll come back with a flat black and and it's gone. And I'd much rather do that than horse around trying to paint all this, and especially the seats, the semi-gloss, because now you're masking things off and going like that. Where this, I spray the whole thing and then come back with a quick shine, and once and done, man. You're in and out of there quick, and it's easy. Look at how nice and smooth of a finish that left. You know, the flat lays down nice, and then you put that quick shine on there, and it's kind of like a matte finish. It's not semi-gloss, which is what I want. I don't want that semi-gloss or glossy look. I just want a nice matte finish underneath. I had the chassis somewhere. Here it is. Again, flat black, and then all the frame rails I did with the quick shine, just to bring the life up and give it a little bit of separation and tones. And it's so easy. It took me maybe 10 minutes to do all that, to where if I was trying to paint that by hand, it'd take me a couple hours, just because you got to get so close to the edges. Where this, like right here, I ran out. I mean, I put too heavy and it ran on it. I'll just take my flat, run it across there right up to the edge, and that'll look good. And now I could come back and paint my brake lines and my fuel line on there. I got to paint the tank, but boom, easy peasy. So enough about the quick shine. I talk about that way too much. Tape. I have the flexible tape. This will bends real nice. And I also have the Tamiya's yellow. If you're gonna get this on on Amazon or anywhere else, brand names do make a difference. I found that out. There was one that wasn't Tamiya, and I got it, and it pulled paint off of my car like it was glued to it, where the Tamiyas don't do that. I've never had Tamiya tape pull paint off the car, But the stuff that looked just like this, and it was even packaged the same, but it didn't say Tamiya on it, peeled that paint off of there. I threw that whole roll away. This came in like 3 of these rolls, and they're going to last a long time. I use them quite a bit. These two, I don't use a whole lot. They're more for like doing a little detail scrolls, and then I'll tape up around them. So these, if you're going to do scroll work, you can jump into them. These you definitely want to have. So there's that, and then I'm going to finish off with Mod Podge. Everybody talks about Mod Podge. That's Mod Podge. This is a matte finish. This is a gloss finish. I don't use the matte finish that much, except for if I'm doing ships. I use this a lot for doing like shorelines and things like that. And for some reason, I got a huge jar of it where I'll never use. This is going to turn into a brick before I use it all. The gloss I use all the time. I mean, all the time. I haven't used it yet on here, but I'll put the gloss in the light or in the gauges, and that'll give them to where it looks like the plastic or the glass is in there. I use it to tack weld on my windshields, where I'll put 2 or 3 little dots, put the windshield in place. I'll let that dry until it's not going to move, and then I'll come back with a quick shine, and I'll weld that window in with a quick shine. And I can do a video on that. I'll do that this time when I'm doing this Roadrunner. I keep promising that I'll make that video, and I just haven't yet, and that's all on me. But I recommend getting this. If you can find a 6 ounce or even a 4 ounce, I would get that instead of the 6 or the 8. And definitely the 16's too big. It's just that the wife bought this one to do rocks with. She was painting rocks and then clear coating them with this. And then I don't know why I got 16 ounces. I think it was when I was doing the ocean on the ship that I was building. Between that and the Elmer's glue, I go for the Mod Podge because it tacks up faster. But that's pretty much, other than having a big old bucket of water down here. Like I said, my spray booth, which I got a video on how I do that, and my gallery air compressor. This is what I grab all the time. So with that, thank you for watching. I hope this helps, or at least gives you an idea of what to look for. Oh, panel lining. This is my panel liner anymore. Just a mechanical. It's a number 2 pencil. I don't know the millimeter in it. I sharpen it to a point, and then I'll just take, and I don't have my glasses on, or my thing on, but just take it and run it down. And I think that looks better than the black. It doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't overpower it, let's put it that way. But the number 2 pencil is the way to go for doing panel lining, and I'm going to use it for just about everything but black, and then I'll use gray. All right, so with that, I've talked enough now, and I will let you go. Y'all have a great day, a better tomorrow, and like I said, I hope this helped. Thanks again for watching.